Good morning. Welcome to Hometown Heroes. This is Rick Irving with my co host, Mary Staffel.
Good
And
morning.
today we have Trevon Ferguson. He's a speaker, he's a coach, he's a consultant, he's an author, he's a trainer and an athlete, and he's a remarkable guy with a contagious, positive attitude. And we just welcome you aboard today, Trevon.
Thank you, and it's an honor to be here this morning with the both of you. I mean, even the title of the show, "Hometown Heroes," I love it. I love it. I mean, Texas is now my home, and even to be categorized as a hero in any shape or form, I'm honored. I'm honored. I'm so. First of all, thank you both for affording me the opportunity to be on the platform. Thank you for allowing me to share my story, share my gift. I hope that today, some way, somehow, someone somewhere in the audience, I may say something that inspires them to do something great, or I may say something that just reminds them that, in spite of where they are currently, they they still have greatness in them. They still have value. They still have something to give to the world. So I hope that throughout our conversation today, I'm able to bless your audience in that way. So thanks again to you both.
Well, you're just a blessing to be around because we met probably 2019
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
at ATF, Adaptive Training Foundation,
Yes, sir.
and you were just starting your class then, weren't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was actually that was the first time I went through the program at ATF when you and I first connected.
And whenever I
Absolutely.
saw you, I thought, man, this guy, he's full of energy, and it's positive energy. You right out of the gate, you were positive, but there's a lot of reasons why you were that way. And we'll get to those today. And you're an Army veteran too, so
Yes. Proud Army veteran. Yes.
that's
That makes
good.
Rick happy. He,
Yeah,
he gets really frustrated when we have too many of the Air Force type around this parts.
yeah,
You know, we all have our place and our purpose. So yeah, but I'm a proud Army veteran.
that's right. And just tell us a little bit about you, where you grew up, and how you got to the point where you joined the Army. So,
Absolutely. So as I just shared, Texas is home. I'm actually coming to everybody here today. I'm out in Florida for work, but Texas is home currently. But I was actually born and raised in the Caribbean, in Trinidad and Tobago. Went through high school there, and then in 1994, just after high school, my mom and stepdad had already migrated to the United States, so they were living in New York. They putting some things in place for myself and my younger sister to come live with them. Just before I came in 1994, I had actually gotten accepted to Howard University in DC. I was going to pursue architecture. It's one of the things that I love. And then when I got to New York, what happened was, so my mom was living here for a while, and she was very strict, right? So when I got there, I had a friend from Trinidad as well who was already living in New York, and he was living in Long Island. So the first thing I did, maybe like within a week of arriving in New York, I went to him and I said, "Hey man, I need to get a job. I haven't learned the subway and all that stuff yet, but I do need to get a job." And so I started working with him. Um, and but mom, being mom, she was very concerned about a few things. One, I was so new, so she she had certain rules in place, but I was already 19, so I was like, well, I'm working, and she wants to put all these rules. Us as teenagers, we think we know
Yeah.
everything. We think we know everything, and then I look back, and now as a parent myself, when I look back, I understand what her concern and her worries were. And then, so for me, I saw the army as an opportunity one, strike out on my own and have that independence that I wanted at 19, but also it was an opportunity for me to repay the American people for giving me that opportunity to come here and build a life. And so, literally, would you believe I arrived on December 18th of 1994, and then on May 18th, literally 6 months to the day, I left on the plane to Lawton, Oklahoma to start basic training.
Wow.
So, and let me tell you, if I'm being honest, when I first went to the Army, it was never something that I had seen myself doing initially. But now that I served 7 years and I look back, if I had to do it all over again, I would do exactly the same thing. It was probably one of the best decisions I could have made for my life.
I think there's a lot of us that can say that, that it was a life-changing experience, and it was a good experience, at least for me, and I'm glad it was for you too. So
Absolutely.
So you went through basic and AIT at Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Oh man, yes, Lawton, Oklahoma, Fort Sill, good old Oklahoma. And you know what was interesting about that part of it? It was such a unique cultural shift, right? So I go from the Caribbean, you're thinking tropical island, to New York, which is a melting pot of different cultures and people, and then I'm in the Midwest, Lawton, Oklahoma.
Yeah. But at least it's pretty, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah,
It has
get outside of the city limits. It is.
Yeah,
Outside the city.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do there. There's the Wichita Mountains, and there's a lot of outdoor activity you can do.
The big one, getting to see buffalo and stuff for the first time. That was pretty interesting. That was pretty interesting. It was fun. Like I said, if I had to do it all over again, I would. I absolutely would.
So did you stay there at Fort Sill, or did you go to Germany or any place?
Yes, I actually was fortunate enough to be stationed in Germany for 3 years. So I had an interesting service path, because my MOS at the time, 82 Charlie, which is a field artillery surveyor, in a nutshell, we basically provided important coordinates and mapping information for the artillery weapon system. But surveyors could be assigned to infantry. They could be assigned to mechanized infantry. They could be assigned to air defense artillery, and they could also be assigned to artillery. So when I left Fort Sill, and I was assigned to an air defense artillery unit in Germany. Through that, got a chance to go to Israel and other places from there. The thing which is why I said I don't regret the decision now, because that service experience allowed me to become, or to experience the world, right? It allowed me to have a more global perspective. It allowed me to understand, when we as U.S. troops or NATO troops, when we set foot in other regions, why we're there, what we're doing, what's the mission, what's the true purpose of us being in other parts of the world. And then it gave me a chance to look back and be grateful for what I have here at home, right? It gave me some clarity and perspective of, you know what? Okay, so this is me truly protecting the rights and freedoms of not just my children or my family, but every of the United States, and it mattered. It really gave me a great appreciation of that.
So you were in Germany for several years. Then did you go back to Fort Sill?
Yes.
Couldn't get away from it, huh?
I couldn't get away from it, but part of the reason why that happened too, is that that particular MOS, for those who don't know, who may not know, military occupational specialty, it they were getting ready to phase that out, right? So you know, it was more a case of getting back to Fort Sill and then being attached to an artillery unit, but also getting a chance to go on different deployments to different places and Israel, Bosnia, different units in different capacities as well. So,
And was it at Fort Sill? Was it about that time that you had an accident?
right. So the accident that changed my life. It's interesting how this thing worked out because I had that accident. Let's see. I went into basic training on May 18th. I got to my duty station, I think September, early September. And I had that accident in February of '96. So about just over 7-8 months after going on active duty. So it was very early in the career. So I had the accident. I suffered the brain injury. And hey, we're trained to just kind of get up and keep it moving.
That's right.
Right. So I did
Wipe
that.
the dust off, get going. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Put some dirt on it and keep it moving.
That's it.
But later on, especially with brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries, some things started to change with my health overall, and then ultimately, as a result of that brain injury, I was diagnosed with epilepsy, which I live with, which is what drove me on the pathway to end up finding and connecting with the Adaptive Training Foundation, which is ATF.
Okay, so you lived with that and served even after you had that injury.
Yes.
And then you started having some other health issues because of that.
Yes. So, for example, in fact, one of the first things that happened was a lot of times when we have a brain injury or any type of trauma, the pupils dilate. Well, my right pupil never went back to its original size, so it stayed. There was some damage to the optic nerve as a result of that injury, and so even while I was on active duty, I used to have to wear prescription shades, actually, to the point where it was so bad that even at night I would have to wear shades because, like, headlights would cause severe pain, etc. And so again, and for me, and for anybody listening, the thing that was very, very hard was that. So I served. I finished my service out. I got out of the service, navigated things, but the epilepsy. I wasn't diagnosed with epilepsy until 2017, which was a ton of years later. But what they explained to me is that, and I hope people can take this for what it's worth. I've always been active. I've always been an athlete. I played soccer from the time I was 5. Do a lot of running. I do a lot of hiking, and that's kind of created a buffer. So for your audience, wherever you are in life, just understand that movement, being active helps. Even if all you did was just walk around your block, right? That helps. And for me, it created this buffer. So I officially wasn't diagnosed with epilepsy until 2017. I had already been out of the service for a good while after by that point.
So after you got out of the service, you started your journey through VA and trying to get help there, correct?
Yeah.
How did that work out for you?
Well, initially, when I had the accident, when I got out of they rated that brain injury at a 0%. So basically, it was like saying, well, you had a concussion, but that's it, nothing else out of that. And they did, in that same accident I had also suffered some injuries to my knee and my back, which they acknowledge. And the VA system is a unique system to navigate because there's protocols and things in place that may not always necessarily favor the veteran and their injury. So it took me some time. In fact, I didn't get approval for my brain injury. I got out of the service in 2002. I didn't get approval for my brain injury as far as compensation until 2019.
My goodness.
Yeah.
A lot of time spent,
Yeah.
a lot of frustration.
It is. And people get very frustrated with it and they give up a lot of time. So the key thing is to get with folks like the Texas Veterans Commission or the,
Right.
depending on your county, Tarrant County has their own Veterans Commission that will help file that paperwork, is getting somebody involved that's not going to cost you any money, but is going to dig in and do the work for you. Because the VA system, if you rely solely on going through them, it's what you went through, is over repeatedly being asked to provide paperwork that they already should have, and just the bureaucracy involved. So it's so much better to get some help.
And also, I'd like to add this. For me, what's important for me now is I'm going to be 100% honest and transparent. There was a time where I was just so angry at the VA, as you mentioned, because of the bureaucracy. But after going through ATF, I started taking a totally different perspective on it. So now, what drives me now is not so much fighting with the VA, but okay, how can I connect other men who I know to organizations and services where they will get the help while still working with the VA? So, for example, we talked about it, the Adaptive Training Foundation, the Semper Fi Fund. We have Operation Enduring Warrior. We have Therapeutic Recreational Group that's based in Farmers Branch, and they actually, what they do is they get veterans to go out on hunting trips and fishing trips and so on. And what that does is, even in the midst of the frustration, it gives our men and women who served, who are struggling, first of all, it gives them back that sense of community, but it also, in some cases, I had never hunted before, right? And I've fallen in love with hunting. Thanks to ATF, I've fallen in love with archery. I started doing archery, and archery has become one of the most powerful therapeutic tools for me. And so I try to now, instead of focusing on the thing that I really can't change right now, I'm focusing on, okay, what resources do I know that have helped me? The Cohen Clinic, which provides amazing mental health services for veterans and their families. All these different resources I've found. The One Tribe Foundation, they also provide counseling services. So finding all these resources now, the way I approach it is this: okay, I can't change this thing over here, but what I can do is help the next man or woman find or connect to a resource that may be of help to them. And I think that approach, one, it helps me. I'm not as frustrated as I used to be. I'm not as frustrated as I used to be. And now I'm seeing other amazing men and women who stood up, signed on the dotted line, and said, I want to serve this country's morals and values. I'm seeing them get the help they need. I'm seeing them experience great trips. I'm seeing them being connected to other vets and so on. So now they're happy again, and that's one way I think we can fight back. And then the other thing is, I'm also involved in some other work that will involve doing some lobbying in Congress to get some changes made. And I may not see it in my lifetime, but what if one thing or one session in Congress that I attend is the pebble that starts the ripple to even really start affecting change, right? I will tell y'all, I have a philosophy that as a country, we should never have veterans who can't get medical care. We should never have homeless veterans. We should never have veterans who if they're able to, can't find employment. it's a painful thing to see, because these men and women have sacrificed so much of who we are or who they are to serve this country and to protect the values and the rights of every citizen. And so, for me, I try to. David Vibora from the Adaptive Foundation, he uses a term that I love, and it's called being a force multiplier. So I try to, Mr. Irving, you talked about me being an inspiration, but it's really me attempting to figure out how I can pay it forward, because somebody contributed to ATF that gave me the opportunity to be in the program. Somebody was kind, believed enough in me as a veteran, and say, okay, I want to sponsor this guy through the class. And so I want to pay that forward. Now that I'm in a much better state mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, I want to be able to do that for other servicemen and women.
That's a great way to look at it, because you think about the donors, the people that donated $5, $10,
Right.
thousands of dollars to ATF helped you, and in turn, you're helping other people. They planted the seed, and you're the harvest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you had some dark days. I mean, you've had your struggles with PTS and things like that too, haven't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have. Full transparency. Um, Anxiety, of course, the seizures, a lot of them. um, Days dealing with depression, and most people who live with epilepsy, depression is a byproduct of that. Chemically, the brain tries to, on its own, as a survival mechanism, the brain literally tries to quiet its own noise. So it literally puts you in a zombie-like state on its own accord. Most of the seizure medications, the anti-seizure medications, induce stronger cases of depression. To include Keppra, which Keppra is a scary one, because Keppra causes chemical rage. One of the side effects is chemical rage. But the darkest part of that, Mr. Irving, Ms. Mary, is thinking that throughout all of that, I wanted to end it all by suicide. Thinking that I no longer had any value, because in my case, I literally couldn't work. I couldn't drive at the time. I couldn't do anything that is expected of a father, husband, man. So my wife had to be the caregiver, but she also had to be the breadwinner. And for the men that's hearing it, that's a hard place for a man to be spiritually, because we're wired. We've been assigned to be provider and protector of our family, and to be in that place, I felt that the only way out was to just end it, so that I wouldn't be a burden to my wife, to my kids. And it's funny how when I decided to do that, there were so many different things that happened to get me to the point where I ended up finding ATF. And I'm thankful that God still has some work for me to do here. I still have to complete. And so because of that, like I said, I'm still trying to, as a form of gratitude, every single day, just pay that forward. And think about this. Friday, one of our daughters just had her first baby, so I just became a grandfather again. Imagine!
Congratulations!
Thank you. And
it's the greatest thing in the world.
It is being a grandparent. I mean, being a parent is fun. Being a grandparent is like a whole nother level of fun.
That's exactly right.
And so I'm grateful that God said, "Hey, man, you still have some things to do. Your voice matters." And so now what I've been able to do is repackage and repurpose that pain. I still have, again, people see me today. I do all the things I do, but there are still some hard days, right? I still have nightmares. I still have migraines on occasions. I still, on occasion, even though we have the seizures under control, thankfully, again, thanks to the Adaptive Training Foundation for connecting me to Charlotte's Web and their products that have helped me to get my my epilepsy under control, able to get my driver's license back and regain my independence as a man, be able to participate in endurance sports again. When I was told that I would never be able to do any of the things that I did before, but ATF helped me decide that I could define what my quality of life looks like, and so I'm grateful for this second ride that I get. Uh, which is why I do. People tell me I do too much. I think I'm not doing enough because I think I've been given this second chance, and I want to make sure I live it to the fullest.
Well, you're a high energy level individual. I mean,
Absolutely, absolutely.
you're one of those guys that's always doing stuff and
Yeah.
always active. And part of that, part of the reason that you do have such a great outlook on life is another organization that we're both very familiar with, and that's that Zig Ziglar organization that you've received a lot of training from. You've worked closely with them, and it got you into where you could be a public speaker and a trainer and a coach and all that. So, Zig, he was a great guy and certainly inspired me over the years. We talked about him and Jim Rohn. Those are two of the people that I listened to. Back then it was on a cassette tape. Now,
Right.
then a CD.
Anybody who doesn't know who Zig Ziglar is probably way too young to know the valuable lessons taught there. But
That's right.
they should definitely, great leadership lessons. It just, an amazing person. So.
And you have, you work closely with his family now,
Yes.
with his children they're carrying on his legacy, and you're carrying on his legacy too. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. I had a chance to actually meet Mr. Ziegler in person, and the 2 years previous to his passing, I would attend the devotional at that time. The home office was in Plano, and the one thing that I loved about Mr. Ziegler, well, there's a couple of things. One, him and I share the same birthday, so we're both born on November 6th. He was obviously a little older than me, but it was such an honor to share that with a giant in the motivational space. And I was like, wow, that's great. But then when I actually met Mr. Ziegler, it was one of those instances where you meet an individual and the things that they say publicly, that's truly who they are. That's truly what they exemplify every single day, right? And so having those behind the scenes conversations and just watching how he talked to people and how he interacted, I was like, okay, this is what it means when somebody says, walking your talk, right? And he was a true living example of really being the type of person that he showed the public. And I mean, even in his children, Cindy, Tom, Julie, they still exemplified the Ziegler legacy. And so I was fortunate enough to be blessed to get certified as a Ziegler Legacy speaker, trainer, coach, and now take those teachings, like you mentioned, leadership, goal setting, um, relationship building, helping people see themselves better. Because Mr. Ziegler had one of the most famous quotes that I love. He said, "You can have everything in life that you want if you help enough people get what they want." And at the time when I first heard it, it resonated to me from a personal perspective. But even more on a bigger note now, I also see that as leadership, whether it's corporate leadership, whether it's leadership in our households, whether it's leadership in and around ATF. I really embrace that philosophy, because when I tell you, the more I go out and serve, the better I see my life getting. The more doors are opening up, and that, which is why now I tell people, when people ask me what it's like suffering from epilepsy, I kind of correct them. I say, well, I don't suffer from epilepsy anymore. I live with it, and I consider it a gift, because that diagnosis is what has brought me to where I am. If I had never been diagnosed with epilepsy, I'd probably be doing what I went to college for, which is sitting in an office, doing engineering somewhere. But because I've been given this gift, right, and like I said, repurposing that pain, and understanding what Mr. Ziegler talked about, being a servant leader and all that, I get to be a source of inspiration for people. I get to be the young man living with epilepsy who challenges some of the myths that people think that it means when you're living with epilepsy or a brain injury that your life is over. I get to remind people, man, even the darkest hour only has 60 minutes, so it's all temporary, right? It's all temporary, and I truly believe that we're all seeds for something else. I think that dark place that a lot of people find themselves in, man, there's so much magic happening in that darkness. Think about it this way. When you plant a seed, right, you have to put it in the ground. But in that period that it's in the ground, where it's covered up in dirt, right, from a regular perspective, you'll think it's all messy. But while that seed is in the ground, something miraculous is happening. The roots are taking place, and it's digging down the ground. The seed itself has to break open and go through this, like literally break yourself open. That's a painful process, but that's the only way that seed can become the tree that brings fruit. So, and for me, it's the same for us. All of us are seeds for something more. Some of us already know what it is. Some of us are in that discovery phase. Some of us are in our seed season where, man, it's, oh my, every time I look around, something else is happening. But I'm here to tell you, you are a seed for something else. No matter what you're going through, all right, you have an assignment for something that, and all of us have a story. All of us have a mission, have a purpose for being here. And I think those dark places, those dark moments, they're necessary for us to become who God is calling us to be.
Because in those dark moments, that seed, things can happen to change your whole life.
Right.
That you were on this path, and then all of a sudden things happened, and now you're on this path.
Absolutely.
Because, you're on the path to help other people, where before you were going to be an engineer or an architect. And now you are out inspiring and helping so many other people.
Isn't it amazing how God can work?
It is.
It is. Yep. He knew all along what path you were going to take. You just didn't know.
Right. Well, he did say he knew us before we were formed in our mother's womb. So,
amen.
So absolutely. But he and here's what's magical about this. Even in the Bible, there are things in dark places where God uses as an example to teach us. Let me give you all some example of what I mean, which is why I really love this seed metaphor. Samson had to go through that period of darkness when he got blinded by the Philistines in order to fulfill that last part of his mission to free the Israelites, right? The Apostle Paul, great orator. I mean, the man could speak, but his whole mission was persecuting the Christians. Then he's on the road to Damascus. He experiences that moment of blinding light, but then he ends up in a period of darkness because he couldn't see for 3 days. And in that 3 days, there's a transformation of spirit, right? Even better yet, if nothing else in the Bible, we look at the Savior's life. At the end, he had to walk into darkness, which is the space of death, and then rise again in order for man's salvation to take place. So for me, when I look at that, and I truly now embrace. David always tells us about leaning. I lean into the tough days. I lean into the days when it's dark. I lean into, when I'm dealing with some pain, and I ask myself, okay, when I come out of this, what can we use this for? What's the lesson? Who can we teach? Having epilepsy and then having COVID, I had some issues with my heart last year, and it was scary. It was a really scary thing. But then I started talking to other people who were living with epilepsy and realizing that other people were having similar struggles. And so now, we've all become resources for each other. You see what I'm saying? So even in that moment of darkness, I could have let that fear consume me and then taken a totally different path. But now I truly try to lean into it and understand that, okay, that darkness is temporary. Once I come out of it, what do I do with it? How do I use it? What's the lesson that I learned from it?
Yeah, so much growth. There's so much growth that happens. And I think you talk about that in your seed metaphor, right? Because
Yes.
there's so much growth happening underneath that people can't see. But then all of a sudden you start to see the outcome, the produce, what happened because of that growth that happened in the dark. And that is where so many people get lost, which is what I think your story tells people, is that you could have went a different direction in that moment of darkness that you were in, and that would have benefited nobody, absolutely nobody. But what you did in that moment, in those moments of darkness, that the seeds and the fruit from what you've done, it's just everywhere. You're spreading those messages, and you're spreading that optimism, and we need that more today than ever. Do we need people to have an optimistic? So we can't make the bad go away. We can't change that, but how do we take it and grow with it and make this a better place? How do we make people better? How do we help them be who they can really be, like who you really are, which is just absolutely amazing. Amazing. I think you will inspire so many people.
Well, I just ask that he gives me the strength to keep walking this path, and as the mission unfolds, keep answering the call on my life to serve that capacity.
Yeah, he's definitely equipping you with what you need.
And tell us about the path that you are on in your public speaking and in your coaching, and the work you do with Spartan, all the things you're doing now to share the life that you've experienced.
Absolutely. Man, well, so let me start by saying that I have a lot going on. You were right when you said I do so many things, right? So to start off with, I do work for Spartan, the obstacle race company. The truth is that connection came about because at ATF, for those who don't already know, when you go through the program for 9 weeks, they challenge you to choose a goal, what I call your impossible goal, where either you're choosing something that you were told that you could never do again, something that maybe you were told that you should never do again, or maybe even in your own head, you just felt like you would never be able to do X, Y, Z, whatever it is. Do something. In my case, I was told that I could no longer play soccer, so I wouldn't be able to do sports and whatnot. And so my goal was to complete a Spartan race. And then at the time, they were looking to hire a veteran for this specific position. So I started working for them. But Spartan for me is like a metaphor for life. It's obstacles, right? You got to climb over stuff, crawl under stuff, crawl through the muck, and each time you got to get back up and keep moving again until you cross the finish line. And that whatever phase that is. So I love doing that. I love excuse me. I love inviting and getting other adaptive athletes and veterans to come out and do those races, because again, people when they Spartan had a saying where it says you'll know at the finish line, where when people cross the finish line and they look back and they thought, man, I could never do that, but then they do, it gives them this really really amazing feeling. We have Paul Lachance. I just want to share this story with him. At 82 on last Saturday, at 82, this gentleman who also happens to be a veteran, a great source of inspiration for me. I met him personally in Montana 2 years ago, and he completed his 200th Spartan race.
My goodness.
Think about that, at 82. And this is a gentleman who's survived issues with his heart. He's overcome cancer, all that. And again, he's a proud veteran. So, that again, that's a source of inspiration when you get to see men and women like him taking on the Spartan courses, and he does that. So that's one of the reasons I love doing what I do with Spartan. I'm also working alongside 50 for the Fallen. 50 for the Fallen is an organization that provides mental health care for veterans from the start, but then they also provide service and support after the veteran has completed their counseling. What they do is they do ruck marches. They do ruck marches anywhere from 10 miles, 20 miles, 25 miles, up to 50 miles. And that's how they do their fundraising to help our veterans. I'll be doing a 20-mile ruck march with them in Austin in April. I'm sorry. So I'm excited about that. And then in December I'll be doing a 50-mile ruck march with them. Again, remember I'm the guy that lives with epilepsy that was told you can't do all this strenuous stuff. But every time I go out and I do something, I'm showing somebody what's possible, regardless of their pathology. It's a matter of choosing to do it and then doing the work and preparing yourself and then being safe when you do it. In addition to that, I work with Charlotte's Web. They're a CBD company. They're actively fighting to create a pathway of unpenalized access for veterans who are living with traumatic brain injuries, chronic pain, anxiety, so that they can have access to quality CBD. Now, we know that with certain laws changing, the access to CBD has increased, where you find you can go to the gas station, but that may not necessarily always mean that you're getting quality product from a company that truly is creating an effective product. So I'm working with them. But in addition to that, I'm working with Charlotte's Web to do some lobbying in Congress to get some of the policies changed so that our veterans can get access to these products. That's another project. My speaking business, of course, it's called, I launched a company last year called Legendary Impact. So we provide keynote speaking. I do panel appearances. I just did a conference in Dallas on Saturday. I was part of a panel for that. We provide workshops. We do trainings. We provide coaching. And then, of course, we also offer consulting, especially where now I have a lot of people that are calling me to come in to talk at their business about navigating mental health issues, because I think people look at veterans as the core space where mental health struggles take place. But the reality is that mental health struggles take place in high school. It takes place in middle school. In fact, I just found out that high school girls are the number one at-risk group in the United States for suicide. I just found that out doing research to prepare for a talk that I'm getting ready to give. So I launched a company last year, and we're gradually picking up. We're starting to do more and more speaking engagements, more and more training. But the biggest thing that I want to share with y'all today, the biggest project that I'm working on this is my legacy project is that within the next year I intend to purchase some land, probably about 150 acres of land, and the reason for that is I want to start in the DFW Metroplex a therapeutic farming program that has a couple layers to it. So one, we're going to be initially starting working with veterans who are dealing with PTSD, helping them through farming, planting, agriculture, uh, find peace. Right, that's the key right there, helping them find peace. But on the land, we're also going to be offering fishing. I just found out that the state offers a hatchery program where if you have a pond or a lake on your property, they will fill it with whatever type of fish that you request, and then they also fill it with whatever the food supply of that. So if you have bass, whatever bass eats, they'll fill it with all the flora and the fauna and everything you need. And then every 3 years they restock the pond to help you. So I wanted to do that. And on the land, we're also going to be building a 3D archery range. Again, my vision for this property is that if a veteran comes to the property for, let's say, a weekend or a week, there's different pathways that we can take them down where they can find peace. I'm talking to some people who do meditation. I'm talking to some people who are personal trainers who would like to come out and we'll do some hikes on the property with the veterans and so on. I even talked to a faith-based psychologist on Saturday about how do we reconnect our men and women who feel angry with God for whatever they've gone through, and a lot of us have gone through that. We've questioned why God allows certain things to happen to us, and I know for a fact that there's no accidents in my life. The healing journey that I'm on, I know without a shadow of a doubt that God has His hand on that, and so I want to make sure that for those who choose to seek Him, when we do the entire program, there's an opportunity for them to reconnect with their faith and so on. That's the biggest project that I'm literally every day working on. I'm having meetings with the Economic Development Council out in Kaufman County and so on. And so I'm aggressively working towards that, which is why I don't have the time to sit still, because in order to make these things a reality, some days I'm in meetings from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, sharing the vision, speaking to people who do grants and all that. And so, again, like I said, I'm truly, truly grateful for the both of you allowing me to come on and share this information, share my story, share in some aspects my pain, but also show people that pain can also be repurposed, right? Pain can also be repurposed into work that's life changing, not just for you, but for other people as well. So again, thank you both for that.
You change that pain into victory. I mean, you're on the other side of that darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Tell us how people can get a hold of you.
Awesome. Okay, so now I'm actually I used to be nervous about giving out my information before, but man, I've got so many things going on that where I want people to connect with me. So my direct line now, I also have a virtual assistant. So, but my direct line is 469-920-9103. That's the cell. I have a business line, which is 469-685-7309. People can also reach me there. My email is houseofjah@gmail.com. I know a few people have actually reached out to me about how they can get involved with the farming program. So email is probably the best. We have two websites getting ready to launch. We have so for those of you that don't know, middle name is Sundiata. Is spelled Sundiata. So my one of the websites is Sundiata Ferguson, which is my last name Ferguson, Ferguson, sundiataferguson.com. And then we're launching the new one where I'll be offering my coaching programs. I'm also building an online membership community where for people who may not be able to have the budget to do our high-end coaching, in that membership group, I'll be doing like weekly trainings, offering kind of a lower barrier to entry, but still giving impactful and inspirational information. That will be under the link sundiataspeaks.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook Sundiata Imhotep, as in the mummy, Sundiata Imhotep Ferguson on Facebook, and then Instagram, which is another place where you can find me, Sundiata_Imhotep_Ferguson. And of course, I'm also on LinkedIn as well as Trevon Sundiata Ferguson on LinkedIn. So
I'll put some of those links in our program so people can reach out there. Your email
yeah,
address for sure.
absolutely. I mean, the thing that I want to say, to everybody in the audience, no matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, one, there's always better coming, right? Everything is seasonal, just like spring follows winter, and summer follows spring. Everything at night follows day. Everything is seasonal. So your struggle is just seasonal. But also, I want to say that every one of us came wired with a gift for the world. Some of us see it, some of us find it, some of us are intentional about whatever that is. But Dr. Miles Monroe, pastor from the Bahamas, one of the most powerful things he ever said is that the richest place on earth is the graveyard, because too many of us go back to our Creator with the gifts He gave us. Whether you have a book inside of you, whether you have a recipe that's unique, whether it's a speech you were born to give, whether it's you telling your story and inspiring other people, whatever it is. Some people's mission is to be phenomenal parents. And they might think that's not important, but those people who are those phenomenal parents just might be the next mom or dad of the president of the United States that changes the entire world, right? And so, no matter what, you have a gift for the world, and you were designed to bring that gift to the world. You may not understand it, you may not know it, but it's there. The phrase I like to use, tell people, is there's power in your purpose.
And you certainly are finding your power and your purpose.
Yes, sir.
You're a great inspiration to us all. And we look forward to seeing all these things that you're working on come to reality. The farm and all the programs. And just think about all the seeds that you're planting now. You're going to have a great harvest soon. So
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank
we
you.
appreciate you too.
Amen.
And we want to hear a lot more from you.
Yes, sir.
Because and get you in front of some people that you can talk to and help. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do it.
we
Thank you.
will. Our time's about up, so we just want to thank you so much for the blessing you are to so many, and certainly an inspiration to me. Because I mean, from the first time I met you and saw that smile and your positive attitude, I've been impressed with you. You're a
Thank you.
good guy
I appreciate
and,
that.
and a good Army veteran.
Yeah, yeah. I won't hold the Army part against him. No, no, really, I think that Rick said it all. You're an inspiration, and if anybody is out there and they're thinking that life is just over, they just need to hear your story, and they got to make a decision, right? Charlie
Right.
Plum, the former Vietnam POW, he was also an inspirational speaker. And he used to talk about the 6 inches between your ears. And
Yes.
how many decisions are made in that 6 inches between your ears. And you can choose to stay on a path of darkness and or you can choose to try to see if there's something else, because like you said, we all have a plan and a purpose, and every veteran has a story, and every story matters, and we need to help people pull that out of them, right?
Absolutely.
And people like you are doing that work every single day, and we appreciate you so
We
much.
certainly do. We appreciate all you do for our fellow veterans.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, and enjoy the rest of your day in Florida.
Yes, sir. You guys do the same. You guys do the
Thank you
same.
so much for being a guest today, Trevon. And
You're welcome.
we will.
Bro.
I want to see you in person soon. So
Oh, we can make that happen when I get back.
let's do that.
Awesome. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day.
You too. That was good,
Wow.
Mary.
Wow.
That was.
It makes me want to go out and not rock, but yeah. No, he is definitely an inspiration.
Yeah, you could go do that 50-mile ruck, don't you think?
I can't carry anything out with that disc in my neck. I can't carry anything. I could do the walking part of it, but
just not to
carry anything on my back for that long.
I think you can ruck without rucking, can't you? I don't know.
I think.
You know, I forgot to add this whenever he was talking about his new grandchild, but I've got one here. This is Judah Thomas Cox, and he was born February the 17th. So,
just a couple of days ago.
Up in Oklahoma, he's having a few little challenges along the way, but they're taking good care of him, and I hope to see him very soon. So, that's Judah.
That's grandbaby number what?
5. It's the 4 boys and 1 girl.
You're going to catch me pretty soon.
We have roll call coming up, don't we?
We do. Friday. Friday is our luncheon. And
Don Graves is the speaker.
Don Graves will be speaking. Absolutely. It's yesterday was the first day of the battle on Iwo Jima. And certainly, one of those things that he felt very, very called to speak this month. So he insisted that he speak. And so, of course, we honor that request, and he will be speaking for us. And then, we don't have a whole lot of other things. We're going to kind of keep it kind of simple. Last month was really crazy
busy.
So we want to give Don plenty of time to share whatever he wants to share. He'll be 99 in May, and in every opportunity we have to have him share his story is important. So we want to honor that. But the lunch is full, but we have folks that will cancel. So if there's somebody out there listening or watching that says, oh, darn, I didn't get my RSVP in time, but I still would like to go. You can certainly email us at info@roll-call.org. And we keep a wait list so that as people cancel, we can let other folks have those seats. So especially our veterans out there, we really want to get them in a seat. And if they've never been before, you just have to come, because you can't even describe what a luncheon is like. And Rick, you know that from the first time you went, and I know that from the first time I went. And how many years later are we still there? And it's a special time to gather with other people that share that warrior ethos, that spirit of serving this country. And it's just really neat to all be together in one place.
It is indeed.
Yep.
So we have roll call coming up, and then in April we have the air show. The Blue Angels will be here. I think it's the 13th and 14th of April.
Yeah, and the 14th is also the NASCAR race. at the motor. Well, the 13th and 14th, that whole weekend is at the Motor Speedway. So there will be a lot of noisy vehicles in the area. The 13th and 14th of April.
We can certainly handle that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have Fleet Week the same week, so
Right.
we'll be able to see some Navy people come to Fort Worth and welcome them here. So
right. Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a busy but a great week. So we're really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Mary, and we certainly did have a very inspirational guest today. I tell you.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Whew.
we've had several of those people from the Adaptive Training Foundation as guests on the show. And, you know, they all have a common thread. They all have that positive, go-get-it attitude, regardless of what happened to them in life. You know, they're on that path to changing the way they think and the way they do things. So,
Yep, no doubt about it.
We need to go pay them a visit and do a Facebook Live from over there.
Yes,
so
we
people
do.
can see that. It's just an incredible place with a lot of incredible people.
Yep, let's get it on the calendar. Let's do it.
We'll do that. Well, thank you all for being part of Hometown Heroes today. And Mary and I will see you next week on Hometown Heroes.